Marvel's Asian superhero film Shang-Chi repeat the feats of 2018's Black Panther at the box office. Analysts are betting more diversity on screen that propelled the success of Black Panther to the tune of over $1 billion could be repeated with Asian audiences and Marvel's Shang-Chi. So, joining us to discuss further, we have Okpe Ajayi, who is the Executive Director of the Genesis Group Cinemas. Okpe, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic stuff. All right, so let's pull up this, I guess, the U.S. COVID-era box office records and take a look at how A Quiet Place performed compared to... Yeah, there it is. So, 48.4 million. Godzilla vs. Kong did 32 million, Cruella 21.3, Wonder Woman 84 was the previous record, 16.7, and then Tom and Jerry, the movie, they're pulling in 14. What are you attributing to the, I guess, success of the A Quiet Place over the weekend? Is it critical acclaim for the film? Was it, people are tired of being home, I want to go back to the cinemas? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of factors. I mean, I think that Quiet Place had a good. The first one was a really good one. So I think there was an anticipation for Quiet Place 2. Critically, though, I think that cinemas are back. Generally, I think we're seeing the trends. I mean, globally, cinemas have reopened in most countries now. And one of the things that COVID has taught us is people are not just satisfied with watching content only in their homes, so people want to go out. There's pent-up demand, and I think we're going to see a lot of that over the coming months.
Fantastic. Let's also look at Cruella, Walt Disney's Cruella. That also came out over the weekend. Didn't perform as well as A Quiet Place 2. I think as far as box office, it brought in, 21.3 million, I think? Yes, 21.3. So now, the difference here, though, is that Disney released Cruella in theaters and also on their Disney Plus streaming platform. So, what you think that ate into the figures we're seeing here?
That's a massive difference. I mean, traditionally, cinemas would have 45 to 90 days exclusive period, But I mean, earlier in the year, we saw studios starting to release films to cinemas and to their platforms, clearly because of the times, But as we move into summer and as cinemas start to reopen, we're going to start to see back the theatrical window back in place, and clearly that's a major impact on the numbers. If the films are released exclusive to cinema, then it makes a whole big difference to the box office number. So that definitely was a factor for Cruella.
Okay, speaking of which, because I'm always, I don't hesitate to ask you guys about streaming and the impact. What do you make of the Amazon purchase of MGM Studios? Big, massive streaming company buying a physical theater. Yeah.
Very interesting. Not unexpected. I think over the last decade or so, and even going forward, what we've seen and what we'll continue to see is a vertical integration in the industry. I mean, a lot of people don't know that Netflix started as a DVD rental company and then went into streaming and then went into content. So you're going to see a lot of that happening, both globally and locally. And generally, it's a thin margin business. It's a bit risky sometimes. So players are going to continue to try to see how to play across the value chain, and it's a trend that we've seen, and it's a trend that we're going to continue to see, definitely.
Do you? You're obviously biased, so I'll still ask you this question: Is there a threat though for the physical theaters from what we're seeing in the streaming space? Because the last time you were on the show and I asked you that, Amazon hadn't bought MGM now since, so there's been new developments since that time. So what do you think?
I don't think there's a threat. I think that what we're going to see, and maybe I'm biased, but we're also, I mean, cinemas have been around for over a century, and there's a reason why cinemas have survived different things, DVD, streaming, and all of that. It's because of that human need to always gather together. It's similar to restaurants. Everybody has a kitchen. Everybody has, you can cook. People have cooks and chefs, but you still go out. As long as films continue to be released, directly to cinemas, then cinemas will be here, for the foreseeable future. The experience will always be different. The technology is improving consistently. So what we may see is that the films that are released in cinema may differ. We may start to see a clearer distinction between films released in cinema and films released, to streaming platforms. you tend to see a lot more action, a lot more films that have a lot of, very extra, if I can use that word, in cinemas, as against drama and, a lot more conversation that will be released to streaming. So I don't think that, cinema is ever going to go away. I think it's actually complementary. I think that cinema continues to be the platform to announce the biggest movies and the biggest titles. It's the trend that's always been. And that's why there's also talk about Amazon investing in cinemas as well.
Right.
And, and Netflix investing in cinemas. I mean, we're not sure that's ever going to happen, but there's discussions around that. So is there a threat? I don't think so. Do they complement each other? I think it's more of a complementary thing rather than a threat. That's what I think.
All right. I want to ask you about Nollywood, of course. How do you, lots has been said of Nollywood movies coming to the aid of the Nigerian cinema industry while these big US tentpole movies hadn't been, because, Quiet Place just came out this weekend. This is me. Since January, I haven't really had... So how have the Nollywood films performed?
I think Nollywood has done very well. I think it's a testament to the growth and leaps and development in Nollywood over the years. I mean, if this had happened, if the COVID pandemic had happened 5 years ago, I don't think cinemas would have been open. In Nigeria, that is. And that's what you saw in a lot of other developed countries. Cinemas were closed until, a few weeks ago. Having said that, Nollywood continues to play a critical role in the film business generally, but it's usually not enough, for profitability or sustainability. But it has an important role, and it's where we as exhibitors and distributors and stakeholders in the entire industry are very happy about that role. I think that it will continue to grow, but generally for the business to be viable, you sort of need both the Hollywood and the Nollywood, the local and the global industry to ensure that deal flow of content across the year. So,
okay, well, you preempted my next question. So there's still the need for the reliance on Hollywood tentpoles to broaden the revenue stream.
It's critical. It's extremely important. The reality is that, platforms can need both to survive and to be profitable. I mean, so we might, with Nollywood, like I said, it's helped to keep business going. But, in terms of most cinemas have recorded losses in the last few months that they've been open, and that's the reality of the...
Fantastic. I'm glad you mentioned, the struggles in revenue and losses, because are there any plans to raise ticket prices? You're hesitating. It's tough question, I know.
No, it's inevitable.
Yeah?
It's inevitable. The dollar is moving against us. The inflation is moving against us. It's inevitable. I think you're going to start seeing prices around 5,000 naira per ticket by the end of the year, and that's the reality of the times that we're in.
All right. Okay, we're joined by Moses Baratokwe, co-founder of Film One Entertainment, is with us. Moses, real quick, I wanted to... Okwe was saying it's inevitable that at some point ticket prices have to be raised here in Nigeria. What's your take on your side?
I'm with Okwe. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for having me. I'm sorry that I'm a little late. I'm great to always have our industry spotlighted. I think with everything going on in the economy, global economy, the impact of the pandemic, the fact that ticket prices over the last 4 or 5 years have remained very static, and we've still improved in the quality of service we've given our guests. We're still getting some of the best product in. The cost of advertising and marketing, our experiences are very high. The costs for our inputs for retail products are high. We have no choice. For us to be able to survive and for us to be able to maintain the level of experience that our guests have become accustomed to, and for us to remain competitive, I think that ticket price increases are just normal, for us to stay afloat. But the challenge for us to meet is to ensure that we're going to deliver the best experiences in our cinemas.
Great stuff. Thank you for that, Moses. Okay, I've got a couple minutes to go, so let me quickly throw this to you. Shang-Chi, diversity on screen. The talk of Shang-Chi possibly replicating the $1 billion that Black Panther made. Do you think, what do you think of that? Is that overly optimistic, or what do you make of it?
I think it's optimistic. I think that it will do well, but I don't know that it will have that sort of impact in Nigeria or in Africa. But I think the diversity is important, but I think it's overly optimistic. That's what I think.
Moses, what do you think? You think Shang-Chi can replicate, as far as the diversity discussion, do you think it can do it for Asian audiences that Black Panther did for African-American and African audiences?
I think if you look at how the Chinese market has rebounded last year, even in the heart of the pandemic, and what we're seeing with Fast and Furious there, I think it will be an Asian-led box office number, and so it's possible for it to hit the billion mark or more. But in terms of Africa and the other territories, I don't think it can be as phenomenal as Black Panther was. But in terms of overall grosses, possibly that or more.
All right, great stuff. Finally, 1 minute to go. You're optimistic about how the year is going to play out for the cinema industry?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we've always had the optimism that things will rebound, and we can see that happening globally. It's a massive month ahead of us. It's Fast and Furious, Hitman's Wife, Bodyguard. There's a massive set of titles up till the end of the year. So we're extremely excited about the rest of the year. Mindful that COVID is still with us, so there's still restrictions. But I think that we're set for very, very good times.
Fantastic stuff. Brief, Moses, your thoughts. Do you agree or not? Because we have run out of time.
I agree, Okpe. I think we're going to have a strong end to the year, and fingers crossed the pandemic winds away. Moses Baraktope, co-founder of Film and Entertainment, Okpe Ajayi, Executive Director, Genesis Cinema Group. Thank you, gentlemen, both for joining us.